Okay, after the photo family tree page, we move on to siblings. There's a two-page spread where you've got enough space for six siblings. This is what it looks like. Oh, hard to tell. So that's on one side, and then this is the other. Now, in James's case, he only has the one sibling here. But I'm going to go ahead and fill in this information just to show you what the page would look like. Honestly, with only one sibling, I would probably just delete these pages and move straight to the next part, which is the sibling profile. But let's go ahead and fill this page in. Okay, so each of these pages, these are the same page, just one's on the left side and one's on the right side. And they start with the father's name and the mother's name, and then information about the siblings. Now, this is siblings of your whoever's chapter you're working on. In this case, we're working on our root person. So we wouldn't include him on this page because this is a page for his siblings. And one of the nice things about having, this page that has the father's name and the mother's name is if you had, for example, a mother who had passed away and the father remarried and had more children, then you could include the father's name with a different woman and then have their children over on a separate page. So they're together, but also separate, just so you can keep track of everything, which will help you in your research. So let's fill in the sibling page for James Kennedy Gordon's sibling, George. So first we're going to include the information about their father, who is John Alexander Gordon, and we'll add his date of birth, mother, and then moving down here, it's up to you what photo you want to put in for each sibling. I'm going to go ahead and use the same group photo and use the photo of his brother George as a child. So I have just made this photo bigger. Let me zoom out a little bit. It's easier to resize things. Making it nice and large. And there we have the photo of George, and I'm going to now fill in his information. All right, all of the information is filled in. You can see that I added a couple things that it didn't ask for. When it asked for the spouse, I put her name and then in parentheses the year that they were married. And for the children, I put his first and middle name and then parentheses the year that he was born. I could have put John Alexander Gordon because that was his full name, but usually for the children, I don't bother typing the surname over and over again because, if there's 6, 7, 8 children, that can get a little tiresome. I could have in this case because because he only had the one child, but that's all right. And because there's only the one sibling, that really completes our sibling page, but that's how you would fill in all of this information if you did have multiple siblings. You would just drag and then adjust their photos and then fill in the information about them. And following the sibling page, we have the sibling profile page. And then we've got a couple of blank sibling pages and then the sibling family page. Let's go ahead and fill in all of these. There's lots of space here, and you may not need all of it, but I wanted to give it to you just in case you were going to need it. Little side note, let's say that I didn't want to have not only these blank images right here, but also, I don't need this page at all. There's not a single thing on this page. It's just there being blank. Let's say that I didn't want that. I could actually just repurpose this page and just delete all of this and then put something else on this page if I wanted to. Let's say I wanted to have a photo of them together, the siblings. Let me upload one really quick. Okay, I've uploaded this photo of them together when they're much older. I'm going to drag it over. I'm going to crop it down. This is a photo of James with his brother George and George's wife. And no offense to her, but I'm going to crop that down. I'll probably include her in a minute. And I could include the year. I suppose that's sort of helpful. And we'll hit done. And then I could have this very large image of the brothers. And then that's what would be on the facing page for this siblings page. As I noted, because I'm going straight into the sibling profile, I honestly would probably just delete these 2 pages and I wouldn't need them. But that's just something that you could do if you have a page that you don't need. You can just repurpose it. I could even change this, delete it, change it to a different page entirely. But let's move on to putting together this sibling profile page. Like I said, or with the ancestor profile, this page looks very similar to the ancestor profile. I like to have a young image and then an older image. And in this case, I definitely have that because I have an image of him as a child and then an image of him as an old man. Let's go back to how many times have you guys watched me now adjust this group photo? But we're going to have it be a large page, or a large photo of George. And then we're going to zoom in this one. The differences in photography means that these are going to be very different colors and clarity, but the result will be sort of a expansive time. We're going to have George as youth and then the older George. And now I will fill in the information based on what I know. Okay, now this isn't any different information than I had up here. And that's part of the reason that I would just delete these pages and then go straight to the sibling profile because you don't really get anything other than just really hammering home that he was the only brother. If you'll notice, I did a copy and paste and a capital X to make this little X here that I then dragged over. If you're ever having a hard time getting things to line up because they're sort of snapping to funny places, know that the more you zoom in, the more control you have over where things will go. Um, you could you could do this however you wanted to. You could highlight this, you could delete this if it doesn't matter to you to say whether or not they were a full sibling or a half sibling. It's completely up to you. I like to use the capital X's myself, and I don't have any notes that I wanted to include, but of course I could always add a short biography or I could delete this and add some more photos. The facing page is just a blank page where you could put anything you want to about the sibling. And it's completely up to you what you have there. I am going to include uh, this man's biography, this man's obituary. So I'm going to upload it. I have a scan of the obituary. And if I wanted to, I could also include an image of the headstone or the cemetery or something like that to go along with this obituary. I don't actually have an image of that. I have never been to the place where this person is buried. So for now, this is the only thing that I need to put on there. But I am going to add some information about where this obituary was found. And I can add that however I want to. I'm just going to go ahead and copy some text up here really quick because it'll make it easier. I like to copy and paste the text because then I can just line it up really fast and everything matches. And then I will include information. I'll include the paper where the obituary was found and then the date that it was printed. And I can probably even make that a little closer. And then the next page is another blank sibling page, followed by the sibling family page. And I'm going to include some information here from his family. I actually have a wonderful history that was written by his wife. So I'm going to include that here. I've got a scan of it. We'll put that in. It's a history of, it's actually a local history, but it's a contribution she made to somebody who's collecting history about this town that they lived in. And even though she's writing to record memories of the town, it talks about where they lived and worked, which is wonderful. And I am going to include this photo down here because she is also in the photo. And then on the facing page, I'm going to use that same photo to create an image of his, or sorry, a photo family tree of his family as an adult. So dragging this over, we'll have, oh, I made that too large. Okay, remember the way that I'm getting to these little ghost images is I'm just double clicking on the photo once I've dragged it over. So I drag, I drop, I double click, and then I can pull on the corners and make the photo larger or smaller. Okay. And they have a son, but I actually do not have a photo of him handy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Elements and I'm going to um, look for a male silhouette. I'll see if I can find a free graphic. Don't want a graphic of a barbell or a cat. Oh, I think free might be too. Let's just look for silhouette. I think free was too helpful. Um, all of these crowns mean that I'm not going to be able to use any of these silhouettes. Okay, let's see. We'll do a leaf. How about that? Maybe I'll use photos. What about this leaf? There we go. I dragged that over. This is where I would be dragging a photo of their child, but I don't have one. So I'm going to drag this leaf over. Well, that's fine for now. This is just where you would drag in something to indicate that you are still looking for a photo of that person. I'm sorry, it's not a very glamorous example, but his name was John Alexander, and he was born in 1936. And if I had a photo of him, then I could add it there. But as for now, we're just going to change. If I don't add anything in, it's going to be too easy to miss that um, there is a child here versus all of these blank things. Now, they again only had one child. It's occurring to me now that I really should have picked families that had more than one child because that would have been more interesting for you to watch. The other interesting thing about this page, now, if you look at this page compared to the one, well, this photo family tree page we changed, but before we changed this page, it had 4 children all the way down for a total of 12 children. And you'll see the sibling family page has 2 parents, 4 children, and then 2 parents and 4 children. This setup is so that if you have somebody who gets remarried and has more children, it's easy for you to just, I could just drag the same photo in, but then this picture would change because the wife would change and the children would change. You can copy and paste all of these photo boxes if you need to change any of the other photo family trees. If, maybe the child grew up in a split family home where they had a stepmother and some half siblings. So maybe you would want this format. That's why I've included it here. In this case, we really don't need to have all of this because we just don't have any other children or any remarriages at all. But I don't actually have anything else that I want to put here. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that alone for now. And then you see it goes right back to another sibling page. That is because I have put 8 of these sibling chapters in to make sure there's enough space for all the siblings. If you don't have that many siblings, which many of your ancestors won't, then you're just going to go ahead and use this delete page button and you're going to delete these extra sibling pages. You just want to make sure that you're always deleting in pairs. Remember, we're always going to delete 1, 2 instead of just deleting one page. That's to make sure that everything is still lined up nicely for printing, and that you aren't going to accidentally get so delete happy that you delete pages that you need, such as the pages you put information on, or if we go all the way down, that you don't get so excited that you accidentally delete the school page and the military service page and so on. You're just going to delete these extra sibling pages if you don't need them.